my name is Rebecca. I am co-owner of Sugar Sisters Bakery in Castle Rock, Colorado.
My name is Molly, and I'm the other co-owner of Sugar Sisters Bakery in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Hi, I'm Shy. I'm a personal trainer in Castle Rock, Colorado, and we're friends of Becca and Molly.
Same as Shy said, we have wonderful friends here. My name is Mark. I'm also in the United States Space Force.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
So thank you for being here. If you're a new follower or you've been with Molly and I at Sugar Sisters for a few years now, we are here today to kind of address, talk about, explain how our little bakery that could made national news. There's obviously an amazing story that has been circulating about the Hawkins family, Marietta, Charlize, and Zaire, and it's all been amazing, and we're so grateful for all the attention and business that we've received and the conversations and relationships that we have built from that. What we finally kind of wanted to talk about was how we got to that point. And the way that this path has been laid down was because of our friendship here with Shy and Mark, and a conversation that was, I think, a first for me and a first for you guys. And we just really wanted to give credit where credit was due on how we got to the point of being on national news for giving. These are our friends. This was a mutual respect and love that we already had for each other. I mean, maybe not love, I don't know, that was a little dramatic, but I very much trusted Shy and Mark, and was able to approach both of them along with Molly outside of our little shop and just talk about how to be better humans, and just keep that focus and what we could be doing to do more as individuals and as business owners. So if you're still here, we just encourage you to just kind of listen to the same conversation that we had. It was eye-opening, it was heartwarming and gut-wrenching at the same time, and we're very grateful that they're here today. And if you have an open heart and an open mind, I think you'll be moved as well.
So, take it away.
So one day I walked into the shop, just as I always do, for many, many years at this point. And Becca came up to me, and she had tears in her eyes, and it was just simply after the death of George Floyd, she expressed like a great deal of concern of what she could be doing to, in a sense, help the situation, and how she could better use her platform. And Molly came from the back as well, and they're like, could we have a conversation? And as hard as that is for so many of us out there watching and listening, it's so important to do that, not only for the people like myself, people of color who are suffering and their family members, but also you as like white America or different community, whatever you categorize yourself as. It's so important to learn the perspective of others and things that everyone goes through, just so that we can make a better world, genuinely. And so anyway, we agreed on the time. I went home, grabbed my husband, and we sat down right in front of their bakery. And it was so adorable. They had a little reserve sign. If you've been to Sugar Sisters, you know how cute it is. So they came out with waters, drinks, and a notepad and pen, literally a notepad and pen, and they were like, please teach us. And it's not that, as Becca mentioned, she's like, I'm not a racist, I'm from Chicago, I live there, and Molly's like, I just want to help. And it's not, you don't have to, feel or question if you're a racist or not. That's not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation was to, how can I help? Mm-hmm. Literally, that was their heart. It was a let's not get on social media and just post a blackout picture or a Black Lives Matter hashtag or what have you. It was a genuine concern of, how can I help? Like, I know I don't have an issue, but I could be doing more. Please help me, please kind of guide me. And so we had a long conversation. I'm not going to talk all the time, I'm going to allow my husband to share it. But it was just amazing because it touched our hearts because they wanted to be educated. And sometimes as just an individual, when you're sad or in pain, you just want to be heard. You want to be understood. You want to just, like I said, be heard. And so for them, you know, we shared a few things that we go through, that we went through coming up. I've dealt with a few things in my life, but my husband was able to share it to a deeper level because he is a Black male. And, you know, he has dealt with things as well as family members. And it's not that we're for or against anything, because we have pastors, family members that are also, you know, police officers and things like that. It's just more so equality. How can we all put towards a better foot to lead towards equality? So I'll let my husband share a little bit more, but it was just amazing how the conversation started. And yes, it was scary for them. It was a little nervous. I was a little nervous myself, but it was amazing for the both of us. And I think it facilitated a great deal of growth in, you know, all of us. So I'll let Mark share.
So after all of that, my wife did come to me and she said, "Hey, look, there's a situation with these Sugar Sisters."
There's always a situation.
She's like, Rebecca and Molly, they experienced not so nice experience today after they showed support, or they wanted to show support for George Floyd. So how can we help? How can we educate them? What can we do to facilitate change within the country and give it to them in a way to where they can educate others? So first, I would like to say thank you for you guys for wanting to have this conversation. It's a tough conversation. It causes a lot of pain at times. You'll find things you didn't know about yourself. We find things we didn't know about ourselves. Even having to have these conversations can be tough. So one thing I like to do first is educate. So we have to figure out the why. Why did this situation happen? Why did George Floyd die in that street by the hands of a police officer? Why is the country in an uproar and rioting and doing all of these things? And it's tough for them as business women to have to deal with this. And it's like, what side do we take, right? Do we support, you know, the Black Lives Matter movement, which is not important, right? You should support equality, no matter what the movement is, no matter who is saying this, what political, none of that matters, right? So we just need to take a stand to show we support this community, whether LGBT, whether African American, it doesn't matter. So they stood up and they said, hey, we want to do something besides putting up a sign on the window or just putting out a social media post that says, hey, we support our African American community. So they said, we want to impact change. How do we do it? I like to educate, so I like to go back and say, okay, let's look at our country as a whole. Why did we get to this point? If you go back to slavery, if you go back to the amendments that were written, if you go back to our founding documents, there are loopholes within there to facilitate this. You know, we have come from a past that wasn't great. We've learned from it, and we're still trying to get better. So those things just don't go away. Racism doesn't go away. Prejudice don't go away. All of us, whether we like it or not, have prejudice against certain people. It's natural. However, what is not natural is treating people different or having a different perspective of someone just because of their race, gender, or sexuality. So we have to figure out our blinders and figure out what's holding us back to feel this type of way. So we sat down, we educated. First thing we did was, okay, let's go read these documents, the founding documents. Let's look at different documentaries such as the 13th Amendment and different things such as the Jane Elliott Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes experiment. Let's go back and discover those things, and then we'll reconvene once you have taken it upon yourself. So Rebecca and Molly, it's perfect because they went and watched the experiment from Jane Elliott in 1992. This was after the Rodney King situation. And they were enlightened. It was like, look, it was causing me to feel a certain type of way. It was causing me to see you for who you are and realize what you go through on a daily basis, right?
I'm backstage right now because today's studio audience thinks that they've come to a regular Oprah Winfrey show. But without knowing it, they've walked into this exercise. It's an exercise in racism. And my guest, Jane Elliott, started this exercise a long time ago with her third grade class back in 1968 after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. What she's going to do is to demonstrate how easy it is to learn prejudice. The point being that we are taught to hate each other on the basis of the color of our skins. So today's audience was separated into two groups. Not on the color of their skin were they separated when they arrived. They were separated based on the color of their eyes. But they have no idea that they were separated. What we did was treat each group differently, discriminating against the people who have blue eyes, catering to those people with brown eyes. So here's how the blue-eyed people were treated when they arrived at the show.
Come on. What color are your eyes? Blue? Over there. Put it on. No. Over there. Blue? Over there.
The blue-eyed people were pulled out of line, told to put on a green collar and wait outside. When the brown-eyed people arrived, they were told to step to the front of the line. Our staff was instructed to be extra polite to brown-eyed people and to discriminate against blue-eyed people, like this one.
I understand that, but actually my license got stolen. And when I went to replace it,
I'm sorry, that's not our problem. You always have to have eyes anywhere you go.
Audience members with brown eyes were allowed to enjoy coffee and donuts. Those with blue eyes were left standing in a crowded room without refreshments for over 2 hours. The blue-eyed group became upset when they saw the brown-eyed people were being seated first.
Look at those people went in. What are they doing in there? Yes, I know what it is.
A woman with blue eyes was outraged when she realized we had fed the brown-eyed people. After 2 hours of being discriminated against, the blue-eyed group began to revolt.
Need everyone here to shut up, please. Shut up.
So I just want to warn all of you who are watching, you know more than they know in the audience. This show is a very important lesson in racism. It may make you angry, but no matter how angry you get, I encourage you to please don't turn the channel, because the purpose will be revealed before the show is over. The idea is to see how easy it is to be taught to hate. What color eyes do you have? It really doesn't matter, just as it doesn't matter what color skin you have. But I want you to watch as my guest convinces this audience that blue-eyed people are not as smart as brown-eyed people, just as a lot of Americans have been convinced that people of color are not as smart.
So once you break those barriers down, now we can all come together and we can figure out what do we need to do to go forward in this situation. And they were presented with a wonderful opportunity with the Little Sisters, who are two tremendous young women who are trying to start their own business during the pandemic. They also realized the Sugar Sisters and the name and all that stuff, and I'll let them talk about it, but this was an opportunity. They wanted to do something that was true to them and not, just throwing away money or just saying, I'm gonna do this to support these people. That's great and all. We wanted them to be authentic, and we said, what would make you feel authentic in this situation? How can you help those without going outside of your comfort zone and being weird about it, right? So it can get really weird when you're talking about these situations. And one thing was, helping young women, no matter who it is, right? The race, gender, no matter what. Help them come up and learn how to be a businesswoman. Help them understand that a trade is important, that they can do the same thing that they did.
That they're doing.
And they're still doing.
That's right.
On a national stage, right? So that's what they were presented with, and I'm glad to share that it worked out properly and amazing, right? So they were able to donate, money that was given to them during the pandemic that most people would have probably kept and said, hey, look, let me save this for a rainy day. They were able to say, hey, look, let me help you start your business. Let me get you on the right foot, no matter how much it was. That's a great benefit. And no matter who it is, if we can come together and do things like that, we can show that we really love each other and support each other, no matter the situation, and be able to break those barriers.
And this is the talk that Mark had with us and Shai, and it inspired us to do what we did. And Becca had texted me that day, and so I hope it inspired you guys, because it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's just a conversation, and Molly and I had it together about, even talking about reaching out to them. There is this, you're just kind of like, ooh, and we didn't know what to do. And I think that is like the biggest message here. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to not know where to go. We don't have the answers. We don't think we're perfect. We were not trying to save the world or anything. We just knew that we could, like Shai said, we could be doing more. And when we took a step back and looked, we just realized we wanted to be better humans, and just to spread that love and joy everywhere. And so I guess like the biggest thing that we all wanted was to show what an amazing course of events and trajectory has happened from this initial conversation. I have goosebumps every time I say that, because I truly believe that's why we came together at all, to get to this exact moment. The universe put us together as well, and I think if everyone maybe just took a step back and quieted some noise, you would see that there's people in your daily life that you're not connecting with, that you could really change your life, their life, and many others if you quiet everything and just really look someone in the eye and realize this is a person and they love life just like you do. And so that was all we wanted to do here. We've tried to say this in news things, and of course there's only so much time, and that was one story, and we wanted to give that its life and give the respect to the Hawkins family. But there is a whole nother story here, and a real lesson. The lesson in giving we hear all the time, and giving back, and that's very much a motto that everyone has heard. Having this conversation and knowing that it's okay to have on your own, and how amazing things can happen because of it, and not for us, business-wise, just spiritually. That was the most surreal moment I've ever had in my entire life, aside from someone handing me my child. It is like number 3, because it was so eye-opening and came from a place of love and respect. And Shai and Mark, you guys just heard, there's no anger and judgment and hate coming from having this conversation. Don't let all of those things cloud your judgment and your heart of knowing that it's okay to have this conversation. And just, we all need a boss, and we can always do more. We're still learning and still screwing up every day. But our biggest thing was we wanted to stop taking appreciation for that idea, for the text, for the giving. The community gave us that money, and Shai and Mark gave us the idea. So we were just the hands. We were just the business, just the platform. And that's why we're here today. It's not that anyone cares necessarily what we're saying right now, but it is that there's more to this story, and this was why, and we wanted to officially come out and really show that this dynamic was how we got to there. It wasn't for a check, it wasn't for the wow, that was just an amazing benefit of doing the right thing. And that's truly what I believe, and I hope that their moment is waiting just right after ours. Because she's an amazing trainer, she just had a baby, so. But we thank everyone for following us and being supportive of our story and our journey here. Everyone who loves the story of the Shai cookie, which is, I've told a handful of people, and that will come. That is why I named one of our cookies "Don't Be Shy." It was because of this woman right here. It was her favorite cookie, and I wanted to say thank you. And so now every time someone comes in, if they ask what that reasoning is behind that, I get to say, well, it was just an amazing conversation that was had. So I don't know if we can obviously cut this out, but do you have closing little things that you want to say each? No?
Say so.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. So again, we come from a place of love and hope here. We just wanted to thank and give credit where credit was due. On behalf of myself, I'm very grateful for everything that we've received. Please do not think that we don't appreciate it. We're overwhelmed with love, and again, it's just we were just little hands in the journey. So
And I'm so grateful for Shy and Mark for meeting with us this time and last time. And all the time. But all of us, we just really hope this inspires good in people. That's why we're telling this. It's just to pass it forward, and their story really affected us, and it brought something so positive. So just, if that was tenfold from everyone else out there, that is all we want and all we ask for and all we want out of this.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry. I just would like to say, in closing on my little part, just don't be afraid to have that conversation, because you will be surprised at the change that you can make. Your voice matters. Your voice is heard. Whether you realize it or not, you can have a large impact. Whether you're in our little community in Castle Rock, Highlands Ranch, or even in an entirely different state, you can make a change. And just let's get this equality going. It's time.
I just want to thank you guys again for this opportunity. What you see before you are three brilliant women decided to come together to impact and create change. That's what we need more in the world. Quit arguing with each other. We got to quit being divisive and believing this one thing, believing that other thing. Just come together and talk to someone, see how they're doing, no matter what their race. Just say, hey, look, what's your name? How are you doing today? And that can spark a conversation. You never know where it might take you. It might take you to a situation like this, to where somebody needs help, and then you give advice, and then they can help someone else, and they can keep rolling down the hill. So thank you, ladies, again for this opportunity and just being amazing. So that's all we have. Hopefully you enjoy.
That was perfect. He always come with the mushy stuff.
I know, like, damn, try not to.
I know.
All the mushy stuff.
I'm backstage right now because today's studio audience thinks that they've come to a regular Oprah Winfrey show. But without knowing it, they've walked into this exercise. It's an exercise in racism. And my guest, Jane Elliott, started this exercise a long time ago with her third grade class back in 1968 after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. What she's going to do is to demonstrate how easy it is to learn prejudice. The point being that we are taught to hate each other on the basis of the color of our skins. So today's audience was separated into two groups. Not on the color of their skin were they separated when they arrived. They were separated based on the color of their eyes. But they have no idea that they were separated. What we did was treat each group differently, discriminating against the people who have blue eyes, catering to those people with brown eyes. So here's how the blue-eyed people were treated when they arrived at the show.
Come on. What color are your eyes? Blue? Over there. Put it on. No. Over there. Blue? Over there.
The blue-eyed people were pulled out of line, told to put on a green collar and wait outside. When the brown-eyed people arrived, they were told to step to the front of the line. Our staff was instructed to be extra polite to brown-eyed people and to discriminate against blue-eyed people like this
I
one.
understand that, but actually my license got stolen. And when I went to replace
I'm
it,
sorry, that's not our problem. You always have to have ID anywhere you go.
Audience members with brown eyes were allowed to enjoy coffee and donuts. Those with blue eyes were left standing in a crowded room without refreshments for over 2 hours. The blue-eyed group became upset when they saw the brown-eyed people were being seated first.
Look at those people with you. What are they doing in there? That's what they know what it is.
A woman with blue eyes was outraged when she realized we had fed the brown-eyed people. After 2 hours of being discriminated against, the blue-eyed group began to revolt.
Need everyone here to shut up, please. Shut up.
So I just want to warn all of you who are watching, you know more than they know in the audience. This show is a very important lesson in racism. It may make you angry, but no matter how angry you get, I encourage you to please don't turn the channel, because the purpose will be revealed before the show is over. The idea is to see how easy it is to be taught to hate. What color eyes do you have? It really doesn't matter, just as it doesn't matter what color skin you have. But I want you to watch, as my guest convinces this audience that blue-eyed people are not as smart as brown-eyed people, just as a lot of Americans have been convinced that people of color are not as smart.